My name is Carl Patterson, therapist, published author, poet, and spoken word performer. Everything has a beginning and an ending. Everything has a first time and a last time. My father and I had a challenging relationship for many years. It left me internally conflicted, resentful, and full of regrets during my childhood. I rooted for him. I rooted for us, a father and son relationship. But there were times when the "and" in father and son was removed and it became father versus son. We didn't always see eye to eye. We became opponents, opposition. He was carrying the trauma passed on to him by his father, and I was on the receiving end of his trauma. It was a lot to grapple with. It became a barrier between us. But thankfully, we found our way back to love, before the ending and after the first time. The first time. Because I have not existed to let my scars be the misguided history of whips, chains, pale knuckles to the black-scabbed palms of the lineage of the black-scabbed palms of the black-scabbed palms of abuse. Because I have not existed to carry wilted and inherited practices of punishment. I will choose violence for my peace. I will choose violence for my mama's peace. I will choose violence for my grandma's peace. The first time I attempted to fight my father, I did so with the protection of peace and love, in the pursuit of peace and love. Sweaty palms, loose half-curled fists with no intention of being thrown by my sides. A scowl pulling the skin on my face in tightly. An older reflection scowling back at me. Too scared to ask for a hug, but in desperate need. Intimidated but boiling deep inside like a pot of grits on a southern stove. I wanted to shed this blanket of rage with the warm embrace only a black father could offer to give his black son. But there we stood, muted and harmed by the unjustified harm of the unjustified circumstances of the unjustified repression. The first time I attempted to fight my father, I walked away with a cocktail of emotions and questions, wondering if I should have thrown a punch or stayed out of grown folks' business. I attempted to fight my father on 2 other separate occasions without a punch ever being thrown. Each time losing pieces of myself to protect pieces of my mother that may never be returned. Maybe the pieces of her lay scattered somewhere unknown next to the pieces of me, next to the pieces of him. Maybe this is what they mean by a broken home. He went through years of internal conflict and dysfunction, attempting to comprehend why when he acted in love, it looked like pain until his pain needed him to act in love. With remorse, he confessed to the dark pathways he traveled at the expense of his family to soothe the debt of his trauma. The first time my father attempted to hug me, I hugged him back. I was 29. He died 8 years later. Not before returning the pieces of me I thought I'd never get back.